have co-teacher in Amsterdam, and we also have 2 assistants, which is extremely important. So, for example, at FOI, we had Antonella Cismescia and Maya Kucher, and they were extremely helpful in all those technical parts, because you need to put everything on LMS system. You need to check in Moodle if somebody has any particular questions, and so on and so on. So when you are asking about teacher role, I will just say that we were not as important as students, because we just discuss with students the content, the goals, schedules, so the deadlines, and so on and so on. And the rest of the project was up to them. We check each week. Did you have meeting? Do you have any problems? Do you have any suggestions, and so on and so on? So that was discussion inside our group, but they definitely created the whole process, and I think this is the most important part of this virtual mobility. I think that active and self-directed acting that students need to be active, and they use collaborative learning. That means that they need to create topics for online meetings. They need to create reports. They need to create part of the content that they will share with other groups at our meetings. So that's definitely self-directive activity. So we divided students in small groups. For example, they have 6 to 8 members. Part of them are from Amsterdam, part of them are from Croatia. The first group activity is made by teachers because they don't know each other, and we just randomly choose some names and put together in the groups. Important part is that each small group have a team leader from FOI and team leader from Amsterdam, because without that will not work. And we always ask team leaders, please, can you schedule the meeting? Can you send the link? Can you do this, and this? And when we are discussing about the whole process, then team leader is first one who reported about the activity during last week, and then other team members also shared their experience about their fears, their anxiety, their, for example, satisfaction, and things like that. So it's small things, team leader, and then the whole group discuss and exchange information. I think the most important part of this virtual mobility is not just communication during those 8 weeks, but they are follow-up activities. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? That means that after this experience, students wrote some abstracts for student conferences. They share information on social media. This year we had amazing collaboration with local media, and one of our students shared experience with general public, which was extremely important. How did they feel, and so on and so on. That also encouraged students to, I think, to start collaboration with international clients after they will graduate. Why? Because they just have experience that they can use English, they can communicate with other students, they can have good results, and they feel much better. This was not obligatory activity. I asked them, if you don't want to do that, you can choose something and you can write report in written form, and so on and so on. And when I asked them, would you like to use English and to communicate online, everybody said, no, no way. Only 2 or 3 students said, okay, my English is good enough. But the majority of them just said, no, I'm afraid of this. And then I started to share experiences about previous projects. For example, on our FOI web page, there are some interviews with students. And when they saw that other students have positive experience, then they said, okay, maybe I can start with that project. It's very important not to create these activities as obligatory activity, just give them opportunity to make their own choice, to have 1 or 2 students in each group that are very good in English, and then they feel safe and they will start to collaborate. We always made survey at the end of the course. Survey is on university level, and also Erasmus students and FOI have their own survey about how they are, for example, satisfied with the content, with the interaction with students, with teachers, and so on and so on. And I can say that during all those 3 years, we don't have any negative comment. The majority of students said that was first time that we have experience in international collaboration. It helped me to, for example, build up my self-esteem. Now I can feel better because I know that my English is good enough to communicate with international students, and so on and so on. And for the majority of them, that was first time in their life that they meet somebody on for example, business level of communication, and they have good results about that. And as I told you before, the most important part of that project are reflections. We always ask, how did you feel? What are the projects? What are the project obstacles? So that is important part of their report.